In today's video we're just going to have a look at customizing the back buttons on the Panasonic GH6. So in a separate video we looked at customizing the front buttons on the camera, and I'll link to that video above so you can kind of see that one, but in this one we're just going to take a look at the back button layouts and what we can kind of do with it. So we've got a few additional buttons here that we didn't have on cameras like the GH5, which for me was the camera I kind of stepped up to this camera. So there were a few differences there, but you know, people using maybe the S5, they might actually find, you know, more familiarity here with the back of the camera. But so what we've got are just a few easy shortcuts that we can pick out on the back. So we've got buttons like the return button, which, you know, we can use the shutter to kind of get out of menus and things anyway, but the return button itself, if you hold that down, it takes us into our sort of quick our quick options. So you know, if there's something in there that you kind of want to use for to quickly toggle on and off, then this is a really good button to do it, because it's a really easy to get to button. So you know, for something like the grid, it's it can be really useful. Okay, I've not actually set that, sorry. I set that to level gauge. If you set it to the photo line grid, for example, that just gives us a really quick way to kind of get in, and you know, we can add our grids, remove them. Or another good one that I'd like to use is something like a histogram. We can quickly just you know, I haven't got the I've got the lens cover on, so it's not really that useful, but yeah, that gives us a nice quick way to kind of get to that. And you can always come in, and if you have set it to something, we can always come back. If we just want it to go back to its default, we can always come right down to the bottom and we can just set it back to the default, or we can set it to do nothing. And we've got, you know, quite a few different options in there for what we can have. You know, you can just go through these and pick out something that's going to be useful to your workflow. But yeah, so that one's really useful, the return button. So we've got that as a shortcut. And then also we've got, if we jump in on here, so we've got the wheel on the outside, which obviously is used for, you know, the functions in the camera, but around the wheel we've actually got 4 buttons. So we've got an up button, left, right, down, and we can actually customize each one of these to do anything we want as well. So you know, they're really not kind of set to do anything. You can see as I'm holding them down, they're all just set to off, no setting. For these ones, for me, you'll really have to set these and make them a kind of muscle memory, because something like that is you know, sort of in your head. You know, the return button, you've set it to something. When you start setting all of these, you've got 4 different ones to start to remember, and obviously you're trying to make it easy so you can you know, you can essentially just make your life easier while you're shooting. So you could quite easily just you know, add all kinds of different things in there. Again, just the types of things that are easy to add into there are the things that pop onto the screen. So say for example, we did have something like I guess the level gauge is an easy one to do. So put the level gauge on and off, and then if we said we wanted to, then on this one, that could be the histogram. So histogram on and off really easily, level gauge on and off. So we can essentially just we can clear our screen really quickly, and you know, we don't have to have things on there all the time. We don't have to dig into the menus every 2 minutes to kind of grab fairly simple functionality from the camera. So it's worth doing this, but you have to bear in mind that it's just again, you do have to remember. So you could be clicking them on and off sometimes, and they're not quite, you know, what you remembered. So I like to kind of split it out. So I've got these front 2 buttons are good because they're, you know, your fingers are pretty much on them all the time. So they could be good for kind of zoom magnification and, you know, maybe a histogram, that type of thing. And then your Q menu is good for the more sort of visual, the more kind of visual options you've got in here. And then, like I say, you know, you can add one to the return button. You could do up to 4 on there. And you can actually, even as an additional one, this one in the zoom menu, which is AF mode, which to me makes sense because it's on the, it's on the focus dial. But it might be that you want to set your focus mode to the front button, and maybe you find that one better to have that as something different. So it's completely flexible, which is really nice. You can essentially set the camera however you want it. So it's just one of those things where you kind of have to use the camera, and then you sort of understand where you kind of need additional features. Things start taking you out of shooting, and those things are the things you just want to quickly map onto these buttons and get working. So that was really just a quick way to sort of say what's on the back of the camera, how you can use it, and when you can use it, really. So yeah, hopefully you found that helpful. If you have, give the video a like. If you want to see more about the Panasonic GH6, then subscribe to the channel. If you've got any questions about it, just leave them in the comments.